This is a shed roof I just built for my buddy. Let's take a look at how I built it. Well, welcome to another Memphis Monday 281. The story is it's been about 3 weeks ago. I built a shed roof for a buddy of mine, and I wasn't going to film it, but then I heard him over there hammering, and I went over there, and he had built walls in there and shelves and a floor and everything else. And I said, well, we need to get this whole thing on video. So we're gonna go over there and sort of compare and contrast my shed roof to the shed roof that I copied over there. He wanted a copy of another shed roof he had, and I upgraded it a little bit with rafter ties and this and that. But we're not going to get any of that done unless we knock off the chit chat and get to work. How it worked was I built the shed roof part, the rafters, and put the tin on, and then he finished the walls and the inside. We'll take a look at both of them. Here's the almost completed shed. The project started out, he had this old shed roof that it's been in place here for about 20 years between these two outbuildings. Actually, it's connected to that outbuilding, and then it comes down and it ends down here. He basically asked me if I could just copy this design, and so I told him I would. Let me show you what I did different. On his design, he didn't build it, my buddy didn't build it, he had somebody else build it, and they put those 2x4 rafters up on that ledger board there and just notched them and nailed them in place. Let's go see what we did different. I did a little bit different. I kept the ledger board. It's going to be under the eave. It's under the eave of the other building. I put the 2x4 rafters out of treated wood up on top of that ledger board, and then I put those rafter ties in place to hold it. Much stronger setup, I think. On our sample here, the rafters were put in about 30 inches apart, but some of them are 30 and some of them are 2 feet, but there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rafters. I put the rafters in this shed 2 feet apart, and there's a total of 9 of them. To get the pitch of the roof right, he had to do a lot of notching. Whoever built this had to do a lot of notching to the rafters to get the pitch correct. Including down here at the end, I had to put saw out a notch on each one of them. What that essentially is doing is it's narrowing the width of that 2x4. But full disclaimer, this is called a bird's mouth, and this is a standard way to do it. So I'm not bad mouthing it. I just don't do it because, to me, it narrows the width of this board right here. If you're going to cut this notch in, you might as well just put a board up there that big. On my version, to keep from putting all those notches in there, I very carefully did the pitch so that my rafters would fit directly on top that center beam there, and no notching would be necessary. In this version, there's a single beam, a 2x6 that goes across and is nailed into this post, which holds up the center of the shed roof. Must be strong enough because it has been up here for 20 years, so, and it doesn't seem to be sagging, but I was still not comfortable with a single beam. At the far end, he put this top cap on here and then a 2x6 on the other side here, which gives this very nice detail here. This makes it really a strong end. On my version, I put double 2x6s across and attached these center braces that will not only hold these 2x6s together, but also will hold their serve as rafter ties for the center rafters. And what I did is I overlapped the rafters. See on the other side too. And sistered them together. And on the end, I did the same thing. I got a double rafter. And I put these rafter ties that hold the rafters in place. And on this example, they put the purlins in about 30 inches apart, with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 purlins. Purlins I put in less than 2 feet. And I put in a total of 10. Another thing I like to do is I put this nogging in here between between the center rafters, and I use that nogging as a nailer for the purlins. I got that all the way along there. On his rafters here, he doesn't have any, he's just got them basically toe-nailed in place. No rafter ties or anything like that. In my version, I have these blocks that nail the rafters to, so that they're nailed directly to the rafter. And then on the outside, I have rafter ties. For roofing material, he used this. It's about 2.5 feet wide. It's galvanized tin, galvanized steel actually. And it's some of that tin that you nail through the ridge. You can see the nail coming through there, and it's nailed right into that ridge. That's how that old-timey tin worked. You nailed into the ridge. I use the new style tin where you use the screws, and they have a little rubber seal on them, and they don't go through the ridges. And I selected this tin because economically it worked out better because this tin is like 3 feet and 3 inches wide, so I could actually use economically it was almost a wash, I think, but this is just so much easier to work with. It may just be time, but to me this looks like it's got a hump in it right here at the center line. And I noticed that when I was building it, that the example over there was kind of humpy. So you can see here that it's a nice even pitch. Not a very big pitch because we want to be high enough to stand at the other end. So there's our shed roof. One of the things we're lucky on is we're able to put that tin underneath the eave of that other shed. So we have a watertight, a rain-tight connection there. So this is the part that I built. Let's look at the part my buddy built. I heard him hammering away over here, and what he did is he ran two befores between the posts and then covered the whole thing with this siding. He also put siding along the back here. I offered to cut that tin off for him, but he said that would be extra rain protection to store things outside here. And here's the front, that same siding. He's going to paint it, I think. Then he's got the left-hand bay here. So what he did is he took the shed roof, installed these posts all the way around there, and installed shelves. And he's a puller. He goes to those tractor pulling contests, and he pulls in the lawn, I guess the lawnmower class. These are far from lawnmowers, you know. Installed all these shelves. Oh, and he's also got installed a real nice floor that's heavy enough to hold up these tractors. He thinks they weigh 1,200 pounds. And then on the open bay here, he just put down some rubber tarps to keep the tractors out of the mud. So for a few $100s, he got this nice little building, little workshop, storage for all his equipment. I think it turned out pretty good. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 281. Built this shed roof. I wasn't even going to film it, and my buddy did all this work on it, so I wanted to make sure I get it on video. Well, that does it for another Memphis Monday. I showed you how I built that shed roof. I wasn't going to film it because filming outside so hard, but I thought, well, I can do another show and tell, and that'll work. I think you got some takeaways on it. I built that a little stronger than the original because it's going to be sitting out there by itself, you know, for hurricane season, this and that. I wanted to be as strong as possible. But anyway, like, favorite, share, comment, all the stuff you do on the internet. most important, make sure you're back here next week for another exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.